A warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us today from different corners of the world. Whether it's the early hours of the morning, the afternoon, or the late evening, we appreciate your presence and commitment to expanding your knowledge with us. My name is Kapil Agarwal. I am working with Programmers.io for more than 5 years, and my journey still continues. Today, on behalf of the entire Programmers.io team, I welcome you all for the ongoing Lunch and Learn series. Joining me today is our subject matter expert Rishabh Kaushik, who will be talking on VS Code and IBMi, streamlining workflow development workflow. Rishabh is an IBMi developer at Programmers.io and has expertise of 5 years in developing and enhancing IBMi applications. During this session will help us the developers in maintaining their IBMi code through VS Code, which is a popular editor by Microsoft. Attendees will learn how to use popular extensions such as Code for IBMi, which will in turn help them in managing their code more efficiently. Takeaways include the usage of VS Code as a tool to increase productivity and flexibility while developing for IBMi. Furthermore, we encourage your active participation by asking questions throughout the session. Feel free to utilize the Q&A section for your queries and we'll make every effort to address them. So without further delay, I will hand over the virtual stage to Rishabh now. Rishabh, over to you.
Thank you, Kapil, for the nice introduction. Now I will be sharing the screen to you all. I hope my screen is available, Kapil.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. So, starting with our today's agenda, I will be giving a basic introduction about the VS Code editor and its history. Then I will be walking you all through the code for IBMi extension and the development pack that is available to us in the extension section. Further down the webinar, I will be talking about how to install this extension, setting up profiles, how to use the object member browser, and then showcasing you few examples how to edit and view the source code through the VS Code itself. And later in the section, there would be predefined actions that are available to us in this section, in this extension, and how we can customize them to our liking. And then at the end of session, I will be talking about how to debug our programs that we have created through our VS Code itself. And later, close to the session end, there will be short introduction about SQL and IFS browser. At the very end, I will be taking some question answer. So without further delay, first thing first, what is VS Code? VS Code is a code editor or IDE that is open source and has a very nice and rich UI that a lot of developers prefer to code in. As any other IDE, VS Code support a ton of customization, code completion features, syntax highlighting, snippets, and has a robust source control mechanism through Git. It also supports other file types and the languages that we have in our programming world, be it JavaScript or Python. Out of the box, VS Code does not support IBMi development environment. But fret not, there is a solution available for that too. Our code for IBMi, the popular extension that is developed by LimeberryLN. The code for IBMi works together with other extensions like RPGLE language tools and provides a basic functionality of managing connection profile, source browser, IFS browser. I will be talking about all the tools or the extensions that are available to us in that development pack. Since the extension is open source, there will be continuous enhancements over the time, which adds to the confidence in switching from RDI or the SEU, the green screen. Another big question that some developers who are comfortable with RDI or SEU generally have is, why do I have to make this switch? What is the reason? What are the strong points of the VS Code? Well, let me tell you, the reasons for which they should move on from SEU or RDI are ample, given the text-based SEU's limitation for customization, code formatting, and syntax checking for free format RPGLE. I think it is a good enough reason to move on from it. On the other hand, RDI is relatively better than SEU, but it is costly for organizations to purchase yearly license for each developer they have. And the enhancements in RDI are totally at IBM's discretion, but with code for IBMi, if something bothers you or you find a bug, you can raise a request on the GitHub. The community is very active and promptly fixes the bug. Another strong points that we have for our code for IBMi is copying and downloading the source code to your local system is a lot easier. You can just do a select all using Control A and then Control C to copy that. And then you can keep it in on your notepad file or any other type of file. With code for IBMi, the dry run is easier and you can expand or collapse different code blocks that I will be showcasing you further down the session. So let's hop on to how to install the extension, and let me show you how to install the extension and how to create the profiles and the filters. So here in the extension menu at the sidebar, left sidebar, you would search IBMi development. And here you would find this IBMi development pack. This consists of 12 extensions, which improves the functionality of our code for IBM, the main extension that provides the connection facility. So you would install, as I have already installed. So this is already installed at my system. You can install from the buttons that appear here. And after that, you would just have to reload the VS Code, and a button specifying IBMi would appear here. From here, you can create a connection profile with a connection name. Connection name can be anything, let's say demo. And you would put in the IP address of your IBMi server and the credentials that you use to connect through the green screen. I would click on save password so that it saves the password. And then here, now you have this profile, connection profile, and here you can just click the screen icon and connect to the IBMi server. It might take some time for the first connection, and as it creates some temporary files and some other checkups that it does at the first initialization. So here now we have different sections on my left hand side and on my right hand side. This is the primary sidebar on my left, and this is the secondary sidebar, which can be switched from the view option. Menu primary sidebar and the secondary sidebar. So in the secondary sidebar, we have the object filter and the object browser and the user library list. These are movable and you can drag and drop to any of the view. And here at the right hand side of the secondary sidebar, I have the outline and the IFS browser. So first thing first, I would create a filter to browse my source member. I would suppose I can I can name the filter anything. Suppose I would say RPGLE programs. I would keep the filtering type simple for now, and in the library, I would type in my library where my source file resides. And in the object, I would type in QRPGLE SASE as my source file. And in the object type, you can have any object type, any IBMi object type, and you would create a filter with that object type, which will display all the objects related to that particular type. Since I want to edit the members inside this source file, I will skip the protected check. This is checked only when you want to view the sources. I would do a save. And in here, if I expand this using the icon here, I would have my source file QRPGLE in which my program sources are kept. So this is how I can create an object browser. Let's create another object or filter for the DDS. And it is also in the Rishabh library, and in the object type, I would do this, and in the object name, I would SRC. I would just save the settings, and it would refresh automatically, and another filter would appear here. And in here, I have few of the display files and the physical file and logical files. So starting with, let's say I have a display file, display1 DSPF. I can click here and see what are the different records I have in my display file. I can even have subfile or the control record and the subfile records as well. Here I have the footer record, I have the initial record. So this is all about the display file. What is very good feature that we have is that display file renderer in here. So if I want to see or preview my display file, I would just click here on preview and it would just show. And if you hover over, it would also show the coordinates or the row and the column values as well, and the field name as well. And if I hover here, it would say that this is message and it starts at 24 and 3. And what you can do is you can even live preview. If I change anything here, suppose if I make message from 50 alpha to 100 alpha and go to the preview again, then it has increased to 100 alpha. So this is a very handy feature for display files in this extension. Now moving on from display files, there is one thing. Let's hop onto the fixed RPG program that I have created for the session. So this is a very basic RPGLE program that I have created, which has two numbers, num1 and num2, and three more variables. Sum for the addition of these two numbers, that will be keeping those, and the subtraction of these two numbers, and the multiplication. So here I am performing all those three operations in here and saving the resultant value into these three variables. After that, I am displaying those variables on the screen. Very basic fixed format RPGLE program. And in here, if you go to the right hand side, here you see the outline. The outline tells us that what are the different global or any variables that are defined the subroutines that are defined, the procedures that are defined, any data structure that are defined. It outlines the programs, declarations, or it doesn't show the calculation spec, but the declaration specs. So it creates an outline, wireframe of the program. And in here, if you hover over around the scroll bar, you can also see that there is this nice view. This is called the minimap. Minimap is used, you can use to find the errors if your source code is very lengthy. I will be discussing about minimap further down the line as well. So have some patience. And now the next thing that we have is, if you right click over here, you have this split option. What a split does is it split the source code to two parts. If you have larger source code and one part of the source code is at the top and one part is at the bottom, and you want to see what is in the upper part and what is in the lower part. So you can just scroll these code blocks individually, these split views individually. So this is a very nice and handy feature, and you don't have to scroll up in the same window again and again. And after that, I have a compare view as well. Suppose I have a program and I use a source management tool at my IBM level, and I have a program source residing in two source files. And this fixed RPG2 is an older version of this fixed RPG. Consider this. And here there are differences that we have in these two source members. And I want to check what are the differences. So what I would do is I would just right click over here in the object browser and select for compare. And then on the second source member, I would just click on compare with the selected. And it would open up a compare view. So here it would highlight what was changed and what was removed from the source or what was added to the source. So this is how you can compare two program views or any older version or any other changes that you have made. And one more thing that we have is in the fixed format is the content assist. If you hover over here, it displays what is this field for. It is for factor one. And if I go over here, it and hover over here, it displays the operation and extent. So this is about, I think, fixed format. These are the functionalities that we have in fixed format. Now moving on, suppose I have a fixed format program, a fixed RPG2, and I have a requirement that I want to convert this program to free format. So the thing is that small program will take less time, and the larger the program is, the longer it will take. But in this extension, we have another extension that allows us to convert fixed format programs to free format. By selecting the program source, just right click and then select the convert to free format. And it will just convert the program into a free format specifications in a blink of an eye. So that is also a handy feature that we have in this. And let's say don't save this. Now coming to free format program, free format RPGLE, we have some additional features that I will be showcasing you. In the free format, we have an option for auto completion. Suppose I have a variable defined as today, and I want to use it in my program. Suppose here I want to append this to this message. So what I would do is I would just start typing TO, and the extension will highlight what are the different variables available to me that are starting with today. So once I have the highlighted variable, I can just press tab and it would autocomplete. I would say assign date, and it would move the today's date, and here I can just append this to this. And here again, if I type in T, and it starts suggesting if you want to add today to this auto completion. I would just press tab and then save the menu. So this is a very nice and handy feature which helps us in a lot of things and makes us more productive. Another thing that we have is peaking. What is peaking? Peaking is if you hover over a variable, it would show what kind of variable, what kind of data type this variable is. It is saying that it is a date type variable. And if I right click over and go to definition, it would take me to the definition over here. And if I double click over here, right click and peak definition, it would just open up a small pop-up and show you where it is declared. It is declared here. And I can just close this. That is how we can use the peak reference functionality. And now moving on, we have a functionality to suppose format our code. Suppose you have an intern in your project, and he's writing code that is all over the place, and it is not very well aligned. The code structure is all over the place. What I can do is I can just right click over here and format the document. Once I click format document, it would align all the indents correctly. And you will have now nice and clean code again. So this was about the free format functionality that we have in our extension. Now moving on, we have some functionality to view the errors that we have with our program sources. Now suppose but before that, suppose if I want to compile this program, what should I do? Well, for that we have actions, predefined actions bundled with this extension. I can just hover over here in the status bar and click on the actions. And here you have all the actions that are predefined with this extension. And you can even edit these actions and according to your liking. And now suppose if I want to compile this program using that action, I would just press Control E and click here, create bound program. And here in the terminal, you would see all the compile listing and all the errors will be highlighted by itself. See, all of the errors are highlighted. And if you go to the problems tab and expand this, it says that external description for the display one not found. You can just click here and the source view will be moved to the line on which the error is. So this is another nice and handy feature that we have. Now, to resolve these errors, I know that these errors are because my library is not in my user library list. So what I would do is I would just add my library. to my library list. And move it and make it current line. And try to compile the program again. We still have some error. Operands are not compatible with the type of it. So if I go here again in the problem, it is saying that this is a date field and it is not compatible. So I would just put a care conversion and save and control E, create bound program model. See, now the program is compiled successfully. And all the highlights are gone now. So this is how actions work. Now customizing actions. So I would have to click here, go to here, this action that I was using. And in here, you have predefined variables that you can use to pass to that action. Suppose if I want to use or prompt before and verify my command that is being done before executing it at the backend. I would put a question mark over to prompt it, and I would just save this. And if I go again here, then I would just click Control E again, create bound program module. And it is now asking me if you want to change anything in this command. Suppose if I don't want to change, I can just press enter. And it would run this command again. It would recreate the program. Another functionality that we have in our action is that I can use prompt strings as well. Well, what are prompt strings? Prompt string would prompt you to enter the values for any particular variable. How do we do that? Well, the syntax for the prompt string is this. You would define a variable with dollar and with starting with curly braces. Here you would have a unique name. Suppose I have given it library, a placeholder to be shown. Please enter object library and the default value if you want it populated. This is optional value. This is the library in which I want to create my object. I would save this and again go to insert PGM and control E, create bound program. And here it asks you to enter object library. I would say I would keep it pre-filled. I can change it, and I would just say for now execute. And it would see here it would recreate the program in Rishabh Bharti. So that is about how to manage or customize our actions. After actions, we have another cool functionality that is snippets. Well, snippets are kind of prompts or short forms that you can use in your program to make the coding faster. So suppose if I don't want to code this line by myself, the whole line, I can just ctl opt. I can type in ctl and it would highlight that this snippet is already available and it is a user snippet. So you can just press tab and it would pop out your whole control option that you can use. Well, you can customize these snippets as well, but let me show you some more snippets. Suppose I want to declare a file. What I would do, I would just type in df. So it is suggesting me what do you want. Do you want to declare a file or declare a display file? So I would just select this here. And here you can type in name and in the input or whatever you can change that. So this makes your coding more productive. And suppose here in the coding section, if I want to have a if and if block, I can just if type in if, and I have all the suggestion of all the if and blocks that I can select from. So if I select this, and it would populate the if and if block. So to edit these snippets, I can just press F1 and type in configure user snippets. You can just search snippets and select this option, configure user snippets. From here, select RPGLE.json. So you can maintain your snippets from here. This was the control spec that I was using, that I just showcased you. And it is the body in which whole of the body is being copied over to your source code. So there are a lot more. I would advise you to explore yourself and take the advantages of these snippets. It is a very nice and handy feature. You can even declare yours. So this is about user snippets. Now, moving on, we have covered our actions, and now we have debugging. Since after we have created some programs, we would like to debug. How do we debug that? Well, for that we have debugging functionality that is being provided using the debug adapter that is in the development pack itself. So before debugging, there are a few considerations that you need to make. You should be at least running V7 R3, and there are some PTFs that are recommended before debugging your source code. And here, if I go back to my VS Code setting, suppose if I want to debug my fixed RPG program, the one that I showcased you at the start, here, suppose I want to debug this program. So for that, you would have to set up debug service and some debug certificate at your IBM if they are not already set up. So for that, you can use the extensions walkthrough. You can just press F1 here and search for open walkthrough. So here it says welcome open walkthrough. I would just click over here, and from here you need to select the fourth one, set up the debug service on IBMi. So I would just click over here, and the first thing is that it is already installed if you are seeing this page. And you need to make sure those PTFs that I have discussed for these server versions, these PTFs should be installed. After that, you need to generate the certificates at the server side. You can just click here, generate certificates. And here you see certificates already exist on server because I have already created them for you. So I will just click on continue. And for you, those certificates will be created. There could be some issue that you might face if Bash is not your default Q shell. But to set to set the Bash as default Q shell, you can run this command call qsys.set shell info. Here, keep your username and keep this as this. So you can use this command in SQL through SQL, and you can set the Bash as your default shell. and then you can retry generating the certificates. After that, you need to start the debug service. For me, it is, I think, already running, and it will check if it is already, and it is saying that it is already running. So I won't end, and I will just cancel. For you, it will start the debug service. After this, so you can make this as done, and then go to fixed rpg.rpgle. Here, what you need to do is you need to click this icon here over here at the very top that says start debugging. After I click debug as batch, I want to debug as batch. Earlier, this set service entry point was not available to us, but this has been recently added in this extension. So earlier it was only debug as batch. But before that, I would click here in the source view and put a breakpoint first. So here it's if it is red, then there is a breakpoint here. And I can just click start debugging and debug batch. It would submit a batch job with this program, and then you would be able to do it. I'm pressing enter over here. It might take some time to load, but once it is loaded, it is quite handy. Let it load. And I will just step into. And if I go to here to the left menu, I have this option for the debug. Here you have variables, the local variables that are defined in the program, and the breakpoints that I have put on. You can also see the whole stack of the job that we have submitted. Since it is only one program, it is at the top, and the others are the calls for this debug service. You can even put watch over any variable, and the program would stop there once it finds that a value is changed. After that, you can just step into using F11, and you can see the variables being updated here with each step. So the sum of 15 and 12 would be 27. So the sum variable has 27, and the subtraction would be 3 minus 3, and the multiplication would be 180. So all these three variables are having the values that we define. This is how you can debug your programs through VS Code. And if you use service entry, you can even use service entry functions. Since this is a batch job, the display keywords won't work here. So I will just continue, and I am now out of the debug. Now, next thing that we have in today's session is how to run SQL. So to run SQL, we have this little cylinder icon over here in the left menu, which is for DB2 for I. This is another extension in the development file. So I would just click over here, and here you can see what are the schema browser and the statement history in here. To run SQL statement at IBMi level, you need to start a new SQL job. So I will just click new SQL job, and it would start a new SQL job. From here, you can just click on open SQL document and type in any query. Let's suppose I want to select from the employee file in my library. I can just press Ctrl R to execute. And here in the output section, you can see all the records from that table. One thing that is also handy is that you can even use visual explain. Let's see what does it provide to us. I think there is some issue with this visual explain in the extension. Yeah, it is in here. So here it is just, it was a table scan. It is just saying that it is a table scan. So this is how you can utilize even visual explain to analyze your SQL queries performance. Another thing that we have, suppose you have very big queries, and you can just use format document option to format the query that you have. So it would format your query according to SQL standards. Another feature that we have in this DB2 for I extension is the DB2 for I examples. We have a lot of examples that are available to us, be it built-in global variable, the DCL control languages, or the data definition, DDL language. There are miscellaneous examples for you to experiment with. And after that, I think we have is IFS browser. Here I have in this secondary sidebar, I have my IFS browser already open. What I can do is I can create a new shortcut, change my working directory at the IFS level, or sort the shortcuts. And if I right click over here in the IFS browser, I can create a new directory as well, or copy or create a new file inside this home Rishabh directory, or delete this directory. I can even search this directory for any content that I want to find. It can find the content inside the files as well. Suppose I have this mango.html, I can just click over there and view the HTML right in the VS Code. HTML support in the VS Code is by default, so I can just right click and format this document. And suppose if I want to find Bootstrap in this folder in my home visual, we can just click search. Okay, I think on this system there are some Qshell APIs missing. So I think we need to install them first. Let's for now ignore that. And after IFS browser, we can even copy and change any new directory, create directories. It is asking the path of the new folder that I want to create. So this is how we can maintain our IFS through VS Code itself. Now, there are few things that I want to show you regarding free format RPGLE. is that we have a functionality. Suppose we have a very big nested list of if and ends. So I can from here, suppose I have this list else if do something and so consider this as a very big else and if block. And what I can do is I can from here collapse this block and see what what else do I have in this block. I can just click here and expand on shrink or this block. So this is how we can utilize this expand and collapse functionality. I can even collapse the procedures that I have implemented. If I click over here, I can just see these DCL proc and path. Another feature that we have in our RPGLE free format is the linting option. Well, linting is kind of standard that you define throughout your organization. It is like standard operating procedure or standard coding practices that you want to use inside your programs at an organization level. So what I can do is to create linting is I can just press F1 and type in lint here. And I will just click on our RPGLE open link configuration. See here, it is giving me an error that there is no lint configuration exists. So I would just create a lint configuration, a default lint configuration. And it would create a default lint configuration. See here, I can change the indent type. Prototype check. It will prototypes can only be defined with ext_pgm or ext_proc. The constants must be in uppercase. So these are the kind of these are not syntax error or they will not throw any compilation error, but these are some of the standard practices that people generally use. No global subroutine, petty commands, no SQL joins. So this is how you can let me showcase you how does this work. So I would just save this and switch to my reformat RPG program. Here I might have to reopen this one. I will close this and click here again. See now, it is highlighting that subroutine should not be defined in global scope. They should be inside a procedure. This is just some coding practices that you can adhere to. And suppose if I have a constant, I am just defining a constant DCLC constant 1 with the value. Once I have defined it, it is saying that constant must be in uppercase. So this is how linting works. And it shows you as you type your code, it shows what are the bad practices that you are doing while writing the code. It forces you to write cleaner code and better code. You can also disable this configuration by just changing them to true to false. Suppose if I don't want uppercase constant, I will just save this as make this as false and save this configuration. It is saved and I would reopen my source would save this. And it might take some time to save if a source is big, but it works. And I would reopen my insert PGM. And here, I would try to declare this again. BCLC constant. And in here, today, I would say control save, but it is still showing. So let me reopen the configuration so that I can verify. False. It is false. Let's close this and then try to reopen. See, now the error is gone now. The linter takes some time to take the configuration change into account. So it is better that you reopen your source once or twice if it is not reflecting the change. So now it is not complaining about that my constants are defined in lowercase. So I think we have covered a lot today in this session. And we have also covered about a lot. So let me see. So to conclude that we have talked about, I have showcased you how to install the extension, how to create the profiles, how to create the object filters, the browser. And later we discussed about outline view, minimaps, compare views, split view. And for free format RPGLE, we have talked about syntax highlighting, snippets, content assist, and auto completion features. Then we talked about actions to compile your programs, and we have also covered some SQL functionality. And at the very last, we did the IFS, maintaining the IFS files through VS Code. I have tried to keep it simple, but there might be few areas where you will have to do the hands-on. And as we are bound by time constraint, it is time to have some questions, and I will be happy to answer them. So please put your questions in the Q&A panel.
Yeah. So thank you, Rishabh, for this insightful session. We are almost on time, but we have around like 4 minutes and we have some open questions also. So I'll read it for you, Rishabh. So the first one is, can we see the source code change date in VS Code? Like we have the modification date in front of every row in SEU.
Yes, we can do that. And to do that, we have an option here in the server setting here. We have settings option, and you can enable the source date from source code tab. Here you can enable the source date, and it will be shown in the gutter. Gutter is the source codes. This view, this is the gutter. Here you see the line number. The source date will be visible using that option. You might have to reconnect to the server.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next is from the anonymous attendee. So can S36/RPG2 sources be converted using VS?
Well, I haven't tried personally. Maybe you can install the extension and try that.
Okay. Next, we have moreover, instead of format document to have the full code aligned, can we format
Mhm.
on a piece of code to align only that part of the code?
I think yeah, that also works with not RPG but with different other languages. But for RPG, I think it formats the full document and not the selection.
Okay.
Yeah.
How to enable batch debug option in VS Code?
Batch debug that I have shown you from like you need to be in the source view. And here you can just click on start debugging and it would submit a batch debug. If you want to debug a batch job, then you would have to set the service entry point for that with the username that the batch job is currently running.
Okay. Can we use the SQL feature with its all capacity as like we use it ACS or native IBM system str SQL?
Well,
Okay.
the DB2 for IBMi extension has limited capability as of now, but I am seeing a few updates recently. There are a lot of changes that they have incorporated, and it is not at par with the run SQL scripts that are available to us in the IBM ACS, but we will catch up one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there are no more open questions and we are almost on time. So thank you all and thank you for joining us today. Have a great day ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to add one thing. You also can share your questions over the mail to us, and we would be happy to answer them.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.